I'm Tracy.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and together we are the Nobodies. That's right. Just a couple of gals you've never heard of sharing what they know so far.
And hopefully the little bit we know ends up helping you a lot.
Hopefully. Thanks for joining us. Today we are going to be talking about space, but not that kind of space, not the one that's up in outer space. It's more like the one that's in like inner space, specifically how to get yourself organized. And this SPACE acronym is going to change your life. I know it did for me. So here's what we know so far.
Okay. Well, before we start, I have to tell you something.
Tell me.
I have a true confession. Did you know, this is also embarrassing, until I was like 30 years old, I did not know what euthanasia was. I thought it was youth, like young people in Asia, and I did not know what the controversy was. Like, people would be like, what's your stand on euthanasia?
I don't know.
Support them.
They're born, and then essentially, I guess they're going to become adults, but you know.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
Oh my goodness. That's wonderful. I love that. So
tell me about space.
Today we're talking about space. This is a cool acronym. I cannot take any credit for this. All of this goes to Julie Morgenstern. She is a professional organizer, basically, is what she does with regards to, she organizes physical space as well as she helps people with time management issues. She's I first heard of her on Oprah back when Oprah had her show on a regular basis. Wow. Yeah, she changed my life, honestly. She had she just broke it down so succinctly. And here's what space means. So each letter it's an acronym. Each letter has a meaning. So S stands for sorting. Basically, with regards to any room, whether this is a room, a drawer, a closet, a shed, whatever, this is how you can succinctly get through the stuff that you have. So sorting is the first one. Preferably you want to do this off the ground, whether it's on a table or the bed, specifically because the idea is you might have a bunch of stuff going on the ground as well, and you don't want to get those piles and things commingled. So
makes sense.
Start sorting through the stuff, figuring out what you have. Okay. P stands for purging. This is essential if you're going to try to stay organized in any shape or form. So you want to have different piles within that. You want to have your piles as either keep, toss, donate, sell. So everything that you end up sorting through goes into one of those categories. And you really want to examine what it is that you're going through and figure out which pile does this really need to go into? Do I really need to keep this?
I think that's the challenge for some, not everything ending up the keep box full, everything else empty.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the things I remember she pointing out is that if it was her, Dr. Phil, I don't know who to quote on this one, but that if everything has value and everything's important, then at some point nothing is really important. It can't all be important. Otherwise it would have already been organized. It would have already been taken care of. So
really good point. And that thought of, I'm going to need this someday, I'm going to use this someday, that is such a trap. So none of that fantasy someday keeping. It's like, is this useful today, right now?
Right.
And just realize that some things, they were useful and now they're not anymore. And maybe they'll be useful to someone else, and maybe they won't even be useful to anybody else. Like, nobody wants your stained t-shirt. Thank it, Marie Kondo style, and throw it in the garbage.
and move on. Yeah. And of course, we're not talking about things that are like seasonal items that obviously you're going to get to, 3-6 months from now. And even then, as you start to put those things away, start to examine those things before you put them into their, home for the next 6 months. Then the A in space stands for assign. So assign this thing a place to live, assign this item a home. So specifically what room, which shelf, which drawer, really try to narrow it down. So that way, every time you use that item, you know exactly where to put it back. exactly. Kind of like the crayon in the box. There's one missing, you know exactly where to put it back. So yeah.
That's been a challenge for me too. Something I finally like I've been able to progress on. Just that light bulb. It's so duh. But when you're not an organized person, just that thought, everything has a place. And if it doesn't have a place, there's no possible way you can be organized or have a nice, tidy home. It's just impossible.
Yeah, it's true. And then the C is to contain this item. So once you figured out where its home is, then try to contain it into something. Unless, of course, it's a really, really large object that basically it lives here on this like little corner of the the closet or on this specific shelf. For things that can kind of start to get away from you, start containing them in something. Is it a box, a basket, a folder, a tray? Basically it keeps the item from essentially rolling away from its home. So that way it really helps to contain those things. And especially if it's something that you need to use it somewhere else, but this is where it lives, it helps you to be able to take that whole thing, go use it where you need to use it, bring it back, put it right back in its slot. Yeah, that's the best way to do that. And then E, this one is the challenging one. This one is honestly the hardest, I think, is equalizing. So basically you want to set aside time on a regular basis to sort, clear, maintain, manage the space, manage what you went to the trouble of putting together, and making sure that it just continues to stay in balance. And especially if you live in a house with other people who maybe don't understand the SPACE acronym and don't really care about how to put everything else together. It basically, it helps to be able to stay on top of those things. So some people set aside a time, let's say maybe Sunday before the week begins. And some people, honestly, they do it almost every evening just to make sure that everything kind of stays together and encapsulates everything.
Okay. Yeah. I can see how that would be helpful.
Yeah.
And then maintenance is required. That's
maintenance is required. And part of what helps with the equalizing is using the one in, one out principle. So if you go shopping and you bought 3 new sweaters, let's say, basically you should look at your sweater count and see, okay, which of these items do I really, really need? And if you find, okay, I need all of these, then, you know, part of it kind of comes back to helping you to manage your spending as well. Did I really need those 3 sweaters to begin with, when these 3, I can't seem to live without them? And unless you live in a really, really cold climate, you're never going to be able to wear all 3 at the same time anyway. So it helps balance that out. The other thing is limit the items that you have within a room or within a space. Make sure that you, even if you want to number the items. So let's say I only allow myself to have this many t-shirts or this many pairs of pants or this many different types of skirts. Let's say we're just talking about a closet specifically. How many of those items do you really, really need? I like that. Keeping like items together helps you to really keep stock and inventory and helps with that equalizing. So that way at a glance, essentially you can already know, okay, I already have this many of this item, so I don't need any more, even if they're on sale, even if they're heavily discounted, even if it's being given to me. Do I actually have space for this? Do I have a need for this? And if like items are kept with like items, this kind of goes back to your assigning everything in its specific space, then you're able to really keep track of this. This helps especially in the kitchen, keeping like in your pantry, helping to keep all your canned goods together. And even then keeping all your canned tomato sauces together, keeping all your canned beans together. It helps you, it prevents you from wasting items. It prevents you from over purchasing items, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So. I do that with batteries. I don't know why. Why do I have batteries strewn all over in so many places? And then I just keep buying batteries. It is so ridiculous.
You know, I had a house that I used to clean when I was younger, and they had a battery issue too. Like there was just batteries everywhere, all over the place. So,
I
and
gotta
maybe
bring all my batteries together.
and maybe if you just assigned, if for some reason you just feel secure having batteries in every room, let's say, I don't know, the power went out on you at one point in your life and you were afraid to not have batteries for the flashlight. So even if you chose for every room, assign every room a battery location, that would honestly, that would be the way to do it.
There you go.
But, or even take it down to a floor, you know, a battery location per floor, let's say, per quadrant of your house. Yeah, that might be the way to do it. And then the other thing that also helps all the time to keep things equalized is keep a donation box or bag nearby. I usually have one for each floor. In this case, in my house, I have one for each floor of the house. So that way, if I come across something that it's like, I don't like this, I don't use this, I don't know how to use it, then it helps me get it out of the house faster by keeping it in a container. So that way I can just get that thing up and then out of the house. So
yeah, great idea. The pitfall with that one that I've fallen into is not having a finite, capacity. So it's like, oh, everything I'm donating ends up whatever in the garage or in the basement. It never actually gets donated.
Yes.
So I have a finite amount of space.
Yes.
Like I like to use maybe for clothes or smaller things, like the big, huge IKEA bags. I love those things. It's like, okay, when the IKEA bag gets filled up, then I take a trip to actually go donate this.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. For me, it's a Trader Joe's bag. So every time that Trader Joe's bag is filled up, then it just, it helps to really funnel it down. It helps to really, really funnel it down. So that way I don't have too much going on. So that's and in fairness, I probably do like a full IKEA bag per level. So then I make sure if one of them's full, then basically they're all full and then they all go. That works out pretty well. But honestly, that's been a super helpful way to help me keep myself organized with regards to a space.
So say what each of the 5 things are again.
So we got space. S is to sort, followed by purge, followed by assign, then contain, and then that evil one at the end to equalize. So, and again, that's Julie Morgenstern. She's got a ton of just wonderful information just with regards to keeping your life organized. I've appreciated everything that she's had to say with regard to time management, how to fit everything in. But it's just a really easy way, nice, convenient acronym to just kind of get things done. So
it is. It's helpful. Love it.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.